everybody. What's up, Chris?
Oh, you caught my phone? Oh.
Things you can do that less likely to deal with COVID-19. Biking was one of the least. I was supposed to let you know when I went by your house. It was like this.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I follow.
Hey, you know. Okay. Right. Yeah, okay, we're doing right now.
Oh. Hey, how you doing?
They said you were trying to kill me. Bet you can't eat just one.
Right now. If I turn around, it's gonna go like this. We need to talk. I did want to give you this example. Let's see. Yeah, we'll talk. I got one for each one. It's a little more complicated than you think.
Call order the council meeting of July 7th, 2020, with stand for pledge of allegiance. Place your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, could you call a roll?
Sure. A quorum is present for City Council, Successor Agency, and Housing Authority.
Okay, we're gonna pull item 7 from the agenda book, so council people
I'm sorry,
mark your,
Mayor, did you say pull item 7?
pull item 7.
Did you say item 7? Okay, and can I, while you're at it, give me 1 second. Under consent calendar, item number 3,
Mm-hmm.
under the consent calendar, item number 3, can you make a motion to add a number 9 to adopt a resolution?
I got it.
I can't hear.
That's it right there. Item number, to add 9 to, add item number 8, you mean?
No.
Oh, I see, okay, add number 9 to,
No. Item 3, agenda item number 3.
I got it,
Oh,
but what, I heard item number 9 though.
we want to put.
We wanna add.
Number 9, and for to say adopt the resolution.
There's 8 subs here.
Yes, I do.
Item number 9, and the number 9 would be
adopt resolution.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to add an item 9 under consent, okay? Under consent 3, and it's to adopt the resolution. Madam Clerk?
Council members Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales, Franklin. Mayor Butts.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, item 1, CSA 1 and H1, but
Warrant
before
register?
there's, call it, but before there's a motion, I want to make a motion. Go ahead. Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead and read it.
Warrant register?
Okay, so before we do that, I'm moving to pull item 674158. It's a check in the amount of $4,900. Now, it is made out to a guy Black's business, and it came about 674158.
Page 10 of 16.
Okay, I want it pulled and voided. That came about because there was a protest that was co-sponsored by the city. In the end, it was for the Divine Nine, the 9 black sororities. And we already had a protest march that was being conducted that was marching in the same vicinity. We used one of our community days to gain access to the Forum lot. And the city manager was instructed to have staff make sure that we had porta potties and a stage. And they entered into an agreement, staff, with good faith. We did not need an MC, but they contracted with an MC. But they did not contract. They did not have an invoice to give a proposed cost of services. And afterwards, staff received a bill of $4,900. This was unnecessary. It's far too much payment for the scope of services that I saw delivered. And I want, if this check has been made out, I want it voided. And staff is welcome to engage in negotiations with the vendor, since the vendor did show up. But this was not authorized, and there never was an estimate for services. And this is what the purpose of the warrant register coming before the council is that we can catch things like this.
The mayor, I believe we could just pull it and we don't need to take any further action. Is that correct? Right? Am I right, Mr. Campos? You could just pull it, and it is pulled.
No, that's not enough. If you pull it, you need to void it.
No, yeah,
Okay.
whatever action you take, I mean, that's what we can do. Now, we can vote to make it clearer, but he has let's do that. And that
Okay,
way-
yeah.
But I know it's enough for you to pull.
Yeah, I'm voting to void it.
So make a motion and all.
So I move to void item 674158 and instruct staff that they may engage in negotiations with the vendor for something that represents a more realistic assessment of services that were provided.
Do you want, I'll second that, and if I can add the fact that, why don't we bring that back after we define what the role was?
I don't think that's necessary. I think that at the time that there's a determination that it's something worth bringing back, that we do it at that time.
So,
So you see
I
what I'm
would-
saying?
I would like to
I'm
see
saying
it.
before it would be approved, we would bring it back, because now what it would be, it'd be a council motion to approve the services.
yeah, I'm fine with that as long as,
Yeah.
right now, we're voiding it.
Yes.
We're
And then
giving
staff-
direction, just to clarify, we're voiding it. We'll give direction to staff to negotiate if in fact,
If that can be done.
if that can be done at all.
Yes, exactly.
Now, at some point, that would require, a vendor, some sort of agreement with it. I
Well-
personally, we would all like to see it as well, and then we would bring it back.
Well, look, for right now, it's voided.
Yeah,
We'll
it's
let the
voided.
future take care of it.
We're voiding the current one, I just
Okay.
wanted to say.
Okay, so is there a
So I have a
second?
motion
Second, I second it.
and a second.
Yeah.
Okay, so the motion is to approve with the exception of this item.
Mm-hmm.
Madam Clerk?
Council members, Dodson?
Aye.
Aye.
I can't hear you.
You have to call this council members, successor agency members, and housing.
Oh, yes, thank you. Council members, successor agency, and housing authority members. Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales. Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Chairman Butts.
Aye. Consent calendar items 2.
Before you go
Mayor,
further,
we have to
Mayor,
public
we didn't
comment.
have public comment.
Okay. Public comments. Any persons wishing to address city council on any item on today's agenda may do so at this time. Operator, are there any comments? Okay, we're not taking comments up here, but we'll let you do that today, but in the future, they're done on community room A. Go ahead, Ms. Treasurer.
Also regarding the...
Your line is now.
I'm sorry, is it my turn or their turn?
No. Operator, are there any calls on the line? You can go ahead, Madam Treasurer.
Yes, I'd like to make a comment regarding the internal control that was done by State Treasurer Brady Yee. She brought out a number of concerns, some of the ones that I had brought out also, regarding the lack of internal control for the finance department, and basically said that the financial records basically are not trustworthy. And I think that I had recommended years ago that we need to hire an internal audit department in that finance department. There has never been one, and we certainly need to look into that. And one of the things that she pointed out was lack of proper and accurate accounting for fixed assets, outdated administrative policies and procedure manual, lack of audit committee, which I've been bringing up for years, and lack of an active oversight of city vehicle usage, and failure to comply, she mentioned, with policies for the general fund. And also, she mentioned that this report has been provided to the mayor as well as each member of the council, and that she mentioned also that the lack of individualized justification for the executive bonuses. She liked it. That was also one of the conclusions. One of the other conclusions was the mayor and city council expenditures substantially higher than comparable with other cities. And also failure to monitor and write off transient occupancy tax. So those are some of the deficiencies that she brought out, and it is my hope that this council and this mayor and council will devote their full attention to hopefully bringing some attention to this so that our financial records will be reliable. And I also would like to request that my seating be put back into the council. I'm an elected official, citywide, 8 times treasurer. I think it's humiliating that you have the treasurer sitting out in the audience with the staff. So and I've also mentioned that my badge has been deactivated so that I have to call someone in order to get to this 9th floor. My badge no longer works at any of the city departments. And I've notified the mayor and also the city manager over here, told him just 2 weeks ago he's done nothing. And I also notified the mayor as well as the council members. So I'd appreciate if that would be corrected so I don't have to call someone in order to get to the 9th floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Gentlemen, okay, well, that'll close public comment, but I just wanted to have a brief response if the council will indulge me. So let's talk about the financial audit done by the auditor's office. First of all, as far as fixed assets, they didn't feel that we had a total accounting of all of our fixed assets. To our belief, we did, and we engaged our personnel to go again to look at all of our fixed assets. That's an accounting vehicle. You just, okay, what do you own? How much is it worth? Update the valuation. That's nothing. To talk about failing to write off transit occupancy tax, that TOT number was money that had not been collected for well over a decade. And so it stayed on the books as a liability, as an asset that we accrued, and we wrote it off. I mean, it was something like $470,000 over a number of years, and it just was not collected. So that's just ridiculous to say that's an indication of a problem. That's just TOT that wasn't ever able to be collected. Secondly, outdated policies and procedures. A policy and procedure is in effect until it's changed. And for the auditor's office to write that our policies were outdated, but they didn't mention whether or not they were effective and still relevant, that's ridiculous. Then they talked about we didn't comply with their own policy. The policy they were referring to was our goal of maintaining 25% of our spending plan in unobligated reserves. There is no city in this country that does that, and we're the only one that I know of that has been successful in doing that year after year. And there was 1 year when we were not able to make that lofty goal. So to put that as a ding for us, when we still had more money in the bank than any city in the South Bay as a percentage of our spending plan, is ridiculous. And let's talk about this badge excess. This is COVID-19 time. What we want to do, we want people to only be in workplaces that have a reason to be there. We don't want social butterflies. And so a number of accesses have been curtailed because what we encourage people to do is spend time in their own workplaces unless they have business, and then there is no problem if you have business, then calling down, either getting an email to you, or if you need a face-to-face, being allowed access. You don't get to run over through every floor because you have a feeling you want to just go and visit. So that's why your access was curtailed. You were one of the biggest violators. Let me see. I think that's all of them. We go to item 4. Oh, okay. So let's try again. Let's see if we have anyone on the phone. Operator.
Pressing pound 2 on your telephone keypad will indicate a question. Not seeing any questions at this time.
Thank you so much, operator. Again, item 4.
Mayor, if I may,
Yes, you may.
we need to go to the consent calendar, starting with 2. And we're gonna go to 2 through 6 for consent calendar.
Oh,
which
okay.
I move
So
for-
wait a minute. We pulled 7.
No, we only, I'm sorry, yeah, we pulled 7.
Okay, please, you guys, we're doing this too much. We pulled 7. So we're going to do the consent calendar. We added a 9 to 3, and so we're going to consent calendar 2 through 6.
And I saw a second.
Okay,
I
thank
made
you.
the motion initially.
All right. Madam Clerk?
I have the motion. Consent calendar? Okay.
Items 2 through 6.
I'm sorry. This is not a good day today.
That's okay.
My apologies. Council members Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Mayor Buds.
Aye. DR1?
Staff report recommending approval of a funding adjustment for the Intelligence Transportation System Phase 5 to reflect the required split ratio of 80% funding from the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority and 20% funding for the city's local return.
Move approval.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Council members Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Buds.
Aye. SPH1?
Staff report requesting that a public hearing be set to consider the Inglewood Basketball and Entertainment Center project. Certification of the project environmental impact report number EAEIR 2020-045. General Plan Amendment Number 2020-003. Pacific Plan Amendment Number 2020-001. Zoning Code Amendment number 2020-002, zone change number 2020-001 ordinance, amending Inglewood Municipal Code, Chapter 2, Administration, 3, Motor Vehicle and Traffic, 5, Offenses Miscellaneous, 10, Public Works, and 11, Building Regulations and Sports and Entertainment Complex Design Guidelines and Infrastructure Plan, and developed agreement between Murphy's Bow LLC and the city.
Okay. Set the public hearing for July 21st, 2020 at 2 p.m. A1,
Thank you, Mayor. There's no oral reports.
CM1,
Mayor, no oral reports from city manager's office.
CC1.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to remind everybody that nomination period starts on Monday, July 13th through August the 7th, from 9:30 to 5:30 by appointment to obtain the packet and to return it. If you're not registered, now's the time to get registered, and if you have any questions, please contact the city clerk's office at 310-412-5280. Thank you very much.
Okay. Public comment. Any persons wishing to address the council on any matter connected to city business not elsewhere considered may do so at this time. 1 minute. Operator, is there anyone on the line?
Not seeing any questions at this time. Again, pressing pound 2 on your telephone keypad will indicate a question. None at this time.
Okay, we'll go to Mayor and Council remarks. I'd like to start because I left 2 items off earlier, if you don't mind. There was also the issue of salaries that was mentioned in the auditor's report. I would have to tell you that I've been in city government for 48 years, and I've never seen such a political audit in my life. First of all, the auditors knew that the salaries paid to the council were set by the voters, and set by the voters decades ago?
2003.
2003. And so as if to infer that the current present council has any methodology or had any hand in the setting of our salaries, and for the treasurer, who makes somewhere around $80,000 a year, and there's no treasurer in the South Bay or anywhere I know of a city this size that makes that kind of a salary, make that kind of a salary. Excuse me, you've had your time. Okay, that's ridiculous for you to bring that up. And then finally, Madam, you're out of order. Now, and then finally, as far as the time, this is a city council meeting. And the people that speak outside the city council are at the pleasure of the chair. And you have spent so much time misleading the public that you are no longer welcome to do that here with the imprimatur of approval by the council. And I'm going to be honest with you. Councilman Dodson.
Thank you, Mayor. I really just want to remind everybody we're still in this virus. Please make sure you wash your hands regularly, wear your face mask, and keep a distance. We want this to pass, and the only way it's going to pass if we do the things we need to do. Thank you very much, and I hope everybody stays safe and have a wonderful rest of your week.
Thank you. Councilman Padilla, District 2.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, I think it was about 3 weeks ago I made a comment about just very disappointing when we can have a person that, you know, we've all had much respect and we've all worked with for many, many years.
Love and respect for.
And to come up to the dais and to give misleading, false information and try to make it sound like it's relevantly true and all that, and then to walk out when they're not happy to hear what other people say, you know, to me that just shows whether or not that person truly believes in what they've said. So she just walked out because she knows that she doesn't want to have to sit here and listen to us when for us to sit here in silence when somebody, especially in her position, to say the things she says is to condone it and to agree with it. And we do not, I know I do not. And so it's just very disappointing that she has brought herself to this level. Just, you know, it's hurtful in the sense that we have so much love and respect for her, you know, but sometimes people do things and we just can't figure it out, rhyme or reason, and it's unfortunate. That being said, it was one heck of a 4th of July night, and I just hope all those folks got rid of all those big heavy-duty fireworks and things will slow down, you know, but you know, folks did enjoy being together with their families in and around the city of Inglewood. So I'm grateful for that opportunity to see these families doing that. So with that, thank you, and you all have a great week.
Thank you. Councilman Franklin, District 4.
Yes, and Mayor, let me share with you and the other council members that when it came to the salary that the city council and the mayor is now receiving, it was what we inherited by the voting of the parties in 2003, when those council members at that time made that decision, got permission from the voters to implement that. To this day, we have not done anything as far as increasing our salaries, et cetera, without going to the public, and it's been status quo since I've been here since right after the fall of 2003. In addition to that, before our time, Mayor, there was previous mayors that allowed the city treasurer to come and join the dais with the city clerk's office, but before that time, they were seated at the desk that's currently seated now by the city clerk, without a microphone and without an item for them to speak on. So I just want to make sure that was clarified. So we're not doing anything other than reappropriating what is appropriate, that this is a city council meeting. So I just want to make sure that was.
Well, Councilman, I want to piggyback on that further. There is no city that you will find in the South Bay, in the county, where the treasurer is a speaking member of the council meeting. It's unheard of.
Okay. Just giving history, so we just inherited this, and now we're putting it in proper perspective. Yeah, and then the other thing, piggybacking with Councilman Padilla and the fireworks, they were again busy last night in my area, and I can't wait to see it finally subsiding, because my granddaughter was hit by one of the objects that was in the air, and she's only 10 years old. We're doing the safe and sane, using earplugs, and we had to stop because she was so intimidated to continue to light her fireworks for the balance of the evening, all because of the illegal stuff. And so it was very disheartening, but as a family, we was able to galvanize, regroup, and we'll see what happens with the fireworks next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Morales, District 3.
To close up, thank you, Mayor. Just to close up the fireworks situation, I just hope people to start to be better neighbors, quite frankly. To start by 30 days before and to take away the quality of life. Hopefully that starts to subside. I want to spend a little time also. I know a person walked out in terms of bringing so much to the table in terms of challenges, allegations, and just promoting what we address here in a negative way. Alex did a good job of saying, hey, we really care about Treasurer Brown. We do. We're all friends. I've known her since I've been here. We've been great friends, and we all want her to get better. We all want to help her. But to put us in a situation where we dominate the city council meeting by accepting negative challenges and having to spend our time defending them is not constructive to us having a council meeting for our residents. This is the city's business. And when the mayor says, he's supposed to run the meeting. It's not just him stopping someone from talking. It's really all of us, because I can tell you that if in fact somebody has something to point out that they believe is illegal or they believe something needs to get looked at, there's a process for that. And while you may be able to bring it up here one time and then it gets into the process,
there's a process outside of these chambers where that is looked at. Use it. Otherwise, it starts to look like you are pushing a political agenda just to beat up on people and just reignite this hatred towards, a person. And there's no place for that here. So I feel like, again, what my colleague said in terms of how we feel about Treasurer Brown, she's our friend. But we cannot allow our council meetings to be taken in that direction. It would be irresponsible for us on that part. So I'm sorry we all have to be part of it, but that's just how we have to go forward. So thank you, Mayor, that's it.
Thank you very much, but it is critical that people understand the truth of the matter when it comes to the city's operation and their finance. I can tell you legitimately, I had great love for Ms. Brown. There's something wrong. There's something very wrong, because for someone to continually mislead and misrepresent the status of the city to the public, there has to be something wrong as much time as she's had in office. Sharon, do you have a minute? Could you come to the mic? Because this is important to me. Now, this is Sharon Quakey from Finance. What's your title, Ms. Quakey?
Assistant Finance Director.
Okay, now, as far as this audit from the state, how long did they take to do this audit? How long did they leave it open?
The auditors were on site for maybe 6 weeks.
Okay, and how long was it before they produced their report?
They took about 7 months to produce the report.
All right. Now, did you have a discussion with them as to the criteria that they use and the percentage of criteria that we met versus other cities that they audit?
Yes, we had many discussions starting from the beginning what the scope of the audit was. They basically said their scope was wide open and that they could go anywhere they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So all the requests that they made of us, we provided to them before they came on site. So in other words, they gave us a list. We provided everything and submitted it to them, so when they came on site, they had everything.
Okay. Now, did they return at some point?
They did return many times.
Many times, is that right?
Yes.
Now, from your understanding of their process and their dealings with other cities, did they take an unusual amount of time to produce our report?
They took an extremely long amount
Okay.
of time.
And let me ask you this, they have a certain number of criteria points. Did you have a discussion with one of them as to how we fared percentage-wise versus other cities that they audit, as far as areas of weakness and areas of strength?
We did. We had many conversations with them.
But what was their takeaway as far as the number of deficiencies we had compared to other cities?
The deficiencies that they found, and we had discussions about this, we didn't feel they were significant. We had a lot of, it was more of a subjective nature.
Mm-hmm.
And
let me give you an example of that. Where is it the auditor's business to determine as whether or not our reasons for giving bonuses are sufficient? That's a management issue. There was never an accounting issue. They never said we couldn't account for the bonuses that were paid, did they? They didn't say we couldn't account for the money. They just threw out this opinion as to whether we gave management bonuses. Is that right?
that's correct.
Okay. Then, when it comes to the council, to the salaries of the council, how was that an auditor purview? That's something that was voted on by the people, enacted by a council decades ago. Why would that belong in an audit? Did they say we were being paid more than we were authorized?
No,
Okay. So how does that become the subject of an auditor's opinion?
it really isn't, because whatever was in place was, whatever was in place, we had all supporting documentations to demonstrate that it was on, I guess,
That it was lawful and legal.
Correct.
Exactly. Then, when they talked about our complying with our own policy as it relates to maintaining a 25% unobligated balance versus our spending plan. Is that a requirement of cities to do that?
No. In fact, we told them that we did that because we were trying to be more prudent and we were trying to be fiscally responsible. But they turned it around on us in saying that we did that and then we also violated it immediately, despite the fact that we were in compliance.
So they used against us something that we far exceed other cities as far as fiscal prudence.
Yes.
And they used it against us as an audit finding.
Yes.
And then they talked about our policies and procedures being outdated. What
Correct.
did that mean? Did they say that any of our policies were no longer relevant?
No.
That they weren't being adhered to?
No.
They just said some of them have been around since the 70s, and because of that, they must be bad. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So, and then when it comes to vehicle policy, how is it the auditors, the state auditors' business, what our vehicle use policy is? How is that a financial control?
Well, we did state what our policies were and that we did have something in place, but in their opinion, they didn't want to hear that. I think they were surprised that we did have policies and procedures in place. We did have logs. And that was another point of discussion with them because the things that they came back to us with as far as not having in place, we in fact had things in place.
And see, and so I thank you, Ms. Quaker. And so that's the point I'm making. I was going to let this auditor thing go, but this was happening during the MSG lawsuits. And I have feel with great certainty this was politically based. And the findings that they found or that they put in their report were a reach. They were an extreme reach. And then for our city treasurer to sit and parrot findings that to me were outrageous, racially based, because there's no other city that gets dinged for the kind of things we got dinged for. Our finance department has done an excellent job. This city, and Councilman Franklin and Councilman Rowles will tell you, has engaged in outside auditing since I've been in office. I know for the last 9 years, we have an outside firm that constantly looks at what we do. And that, for me, that the fact that they would spend so much time to generate a report 7 months later with these kind of ticky-tack things shows a malicious motivation. And again, we sucked it up and went through it. But to have our treasurer get up and parrot this stuff, then that is no place for a treasurer who speaks at the pleasure of the chair to just attempt to damage the city by parroting propaganda. And that's all it was. And that's why she leaves every time it's done, her talk is done, because she doesn't want to hear that she's being called on what she's doing. So with that, we hope that she gets better. We still care for her, but this is a council meeting, and we're going to run the city's business as business, and that's the way it's going to be. So with that, we're adjourned. Thank you very much.